Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Marco Nuyen and I'm a trainer at Microsoft. This video is part of a series of videos about the role of a Microsoft cybersecurity architect. In this video we will focus on an important framework, the Well-Architected Framework or WAF, the WAF. Discover how the Well-Architected Framework can help you secure, optimize and elevate your cloud workloads with practical strategies and real-world insights. The content of this video is mostly aligned with the area of attention on security best practices and priorities from a certification perspective. Now, how to secure a workload? Let us start with the main question that will lead us to the Well-Architected Framework. How to secure a workload? What is a workload? Can be a single app, can be a complex environment that is needed from a business perspective, but whatever it is, there must be some patterns we can leverage. One of the cloud providers started building a framework around best practice for workloads, and in the Microsoft portfolio that is represented in the concepts of the Well-Architected Framework, WAF. Alright, a question. What is it? What would be considered best practice for securing a workload? Is it use Defender for Cloud to monitor and protect your resources from threats? Is it using Entra to manage user identities and access controls? Is it C here? Using Azure Backup and Azure Site Recovery to ensure data availability and resilience? Or is it D, everything, all of the above? D, right? All of the above. There is no single solution to secure a workload, right? We just have to think about everything. Now, next to these, we can think also of many other elements that will help to secure a workload. But there must be some help that has combined best practices into something. Something that is based on practical experiences and elements of zero trust. Yes, the Well-Architected Framework, and the topic for this video. So, what is it? The Well-Architected Framework, and why is there a lot of focus on getting grip on development processes, also known as shift left? And what do we have that can help us do assessments? A task for the cybersecurity architect is to help translate the cybersecurity strategy into capabilities where you guide and maintain that implementation. That also means we need to assess, probe, if things are what they need to be. Let's go to the main topic, which is the Well-Architected Framework. Here it is. And I've included a short link to the landing page as well, aka.ms/WAF. The Azure Well-Architected Framework is a design framework that can improve the quality of a workload by helping it to be resilient, be available, be recoverable, deliver a sufficient return on investment, support responsible development and operations, accomplish its purpose within acceptable timeframes, and be as secure as you need it to be. The framework is founded on 5 pillars of architectural excellence, which are maps to these goals. These pillars are cost optimization, security, reliability, operational excellence, and performance efficiency. Each pillar provides recommended practices, risk considerations, and trade-offs. The design decisions must be balanced across all pillars, given the business requirements. And the technical and actionable guidance is broad enough for all workloads and applies to a specific scenario. Workload architecture isn't the same as its implementation. The Well-Architected Framework can set you up for success through architectural designs, but the implementation choices depend on the business requirements and constraints of your organization. The primary objective of the Well-Architected Framework is to set you up for success when you deploy your workload on Azure. A successful implementation. Well-architected design leads to successful implementation, given the breadth and the depth of coverage and concepts, and you should be well equipped to make informed decisions. Confidence in success. Proven assessments seen on numerous workloads deployed on Azure back the tenets of the framework. And if you understand the trade-offs and risks, the framework will help you to understand that adopting the recommendations might require making choices against the other pillars. It highlights the trade-offs and also the potential risks that you may want to address in the short term. If you optimize over time, the framework is designed to be iterative use and as a tool for continuous improvement. Measure the maturity of your workload against the guidance. Treat that evaluation as a moving score that evolves with your workload, ensuring that the design remains efficient and effective in meeting your business objectives. For us as cybersecurity architects, the pillar that we leverage the best is the security pillar. But make sure you investigate all the pillars to have a good sense of what is in them and what is not. On this graphic, you will find an easy shortcut to the security-specific landing page in the Well-Architected Framework, aka.ms/WAF Secure. I've always found the information here very useful. The principles, the checklist, the trade-offs. And also more and more I came to the realization that the focus of the Well-Architected Framework is much on the workload or application development. I found that the principles and patterns are more generic and can be used more generically. Essentially nowadays everything is code, infrastructure as code. So develop your infra and code in line with the concepts from a framework like the Well-Architected Framework. Our task again as architects is to make people aware, design and check. Workload owners should be ready, considering all aspects they need to consider. In the framework, we find guidance on that. We need to know and need to verify with workload owners, help them to get educated and hold them accountable. We also must understand how CIA principles are incorporated into a workload and into workload design. These are aspects of the CIA triad, which stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability, where confidentiality means access is only granted to authorized parties. And integrity means that the data is accurate and consistent and protected from unauthorized use and unauthorized modification, of course. Availability means that the data is accessible and usable when needed by an authorized party. These elements must be present or at least considered for every workload. I say considered, since there are and there will be trade-offs. Sometimes we need to accept something for a reason. Maybe think about an example of this for yourselves. And one example that comes to mind for me is a trade-off in reliability versus security. From a reliability perspective, we want to minimize the failure points that may be weighted or traded off to a security concept or multi-layer defense, a defense in depth. Another example can be cost. We would like to add something, but from a cost perspective, we cannot. A trade-off again. Too expensive to buy, too expensive to run since we don't have the competence, or too expensive since we lack the people to do it with in the first place. There are actually examples of trade-offs available in the security pillar of the Well-Architected Framework. It all comes down to a conscious decision-making process. We need to strike a balance between security and many other things. It is frameworks like the Well-Architected Framework, but also the Cloud Adoption Framework, that helps us to uncover and have discussions and decisions about security. What will help you is to bring it back to risks and manage risks like I have explained in another video. So, how can you make it practical for yourself? I'll start checking. Yes, there's a checklist. Let's talk about the security maturity model and how it guides you in strengthening your workload's security posture. Think of it as a journey, one that starts with the basics and builds up over time. So begin by laying a strong foundation, things like encryption and identity management. Once those are in place, you move to securing your deployment process and hardening your systems. As your security practices mature, you don't just wait for threats to appear, you start proactively looking for them through threat modeling and enhanced monitoring. Real-world protection insights then help you to continuously improve your security mechanisms. And for organizations dealing with advanced threats, the model helps you put specialized defenses in place. Remember, security isn't automatically, it isn't auto-magic. It requires deliberate effort. Incidents can lead to major financial cost, regulatory issues, or loss of customer trust. That's why taking a practical, step-by-step approach is so important. It helps you implement effective security without overwhelming your development or operations. The security model is organized into 5 levels, each with clear goals and strategies. As you move through each stage, pay attention to the trade-offs and risks involved. This structured approach empowers you to make informed, balanced decisions about your security posture. In the WAF, they have included a checklist per pillar. For security, there are 12 elements on the list, SE1 to SE12. Well, if you look more closely, there are actually 13 elements, but more on that in a moment. This checklist presents a set of security recommendations to help you ensure your workload is secure and aligned with the Zero Trust model. If you haven't checked all the boxes and considered the trade-offs, then your design might be at risk. So carefully consider all the points covered in the checklist to gain confidence if the workload is secure enough. We will not go and cover all 12 elements here, but I do want to highlight a couple of elements. Some things that will bring us closer to talking about shifting left, more focus on code and code development. If you look at the SE list, the security list, the first will be about baselines. I hope you're thinking about where to find baselines that you can use and that you are thinking of the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, the MCSB. There is a video on the topic, and the MCSB will come by regularly in many of our videos in this series. For the second check, SC-02, maintain a secure development lifecycle. And there are actually two elements. Right? In SC2 there's two elements, so they're coded the same on the checklist. That explains why there are actually 13 elements and not 12 in total. And the two for SC-02 are related to a secure development lifecycle. I want to highlight something specific in that SC-02, which is the part we need to think about DevSecOps. What we want to get at is that element gets secured as early on as possible. Otherwise, we will always be after the fact, trying to catch on, fixing something that is broken to begin with, and we don't like that. So in general, it's good to get security in as early on as possible, and for code, that is not any different. It is the code itself that needs to be secured, and are the code development processes secured. Think of this as a very early investment, and the more you invest in ensuring security from the start, the more you will profit from it later. The graphic illustrates the development process with security activities and when they should be done, when they should be initiated. The crucial step starts with the first stage, threat modeling. We have a separate video on that where we will go more into it, but it is crucial to understand that what a workload is, what the components are, and how they interact. And threat modeling is a great way to do that. It helps to get clarity on all components and how they interact. Code. We need to make sure code is secure, from development to testing, from acceptance to production. And lessons learned get fed back into the development process for improvement. As I said a couple of minutes ago, nowadays everything has become code. Application is code, deploy infra, that is code. Code like ARM templates, scripts, bicep, deployment stacks. It will be crucial for us as cybersecurity architects that the infrastructures we help to protect are based on code, secured code. It makes an environment repeatable and predictable. And this aligns well with the overall pillar of Zero Trust, right? Visibility, orchestration, and automation. So I'm explaining this through the checklist, which is a great way to learn, a great list to start checking with. Use the checklist, start checking. If you want more options, sure, what would be another approach to this? Assessments on Microsoft Learn. On Microsoft Learn, there are several assessments available to us. In another video, I explained the principle behind an assessment in more detail. And in this video, I want to point out two web application framework, well-architected framework specific ones. The Azure Well-Architected Review and the Mission Critical specific one. There are more, but these two are found to be the most of interest for me when it comes to the role of a cybersecurity architect. I often use these to run myself through all the thinking and decision points, or I use them in a workshop and run them to have discussions on the elements in the review. And lastly, it can also be connected to a live environment and extract information from there directly. So yes, you can connect it, ingest information from a running environment and examine that. They are quite elaborate, and it will take a significant amount of time to go through all the questions and all the details in the questions. We're not doing that here, but you should go and do that by yourself. And if you don't know what the question is asking you, or if you are not familiar with elements in a question, then you find yourself a gap in your existing knowledge that you will need to fill. And let's take an example. Let's look at an example. The first thing I will ask when I get somewhere, where are the designs and documentation? And how is that translated into, for example, a baseline? As you can see, there's much granularity with these assessment questions, and many topics here are subject for later videos. Updates, incident response, guardrails, for example using Azure Policy and the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, MCP, compliance and industry standards. And on the main question on the left side, we see that there's much more. And there will always be more, but use tools like this to help you with that. Now, the Well-Architected Framework and the Cloud Adoption Framework are very important frameworks for us as cybersecurity architects. The Cloud Adoption Framework is covered in another video, and in this one we covered aspects of the Well-Architected Framework. The Well-Architected Framework is a framework we leverage for workloads, like the Cloud Adoption Framework is the framework we leverage for cloud solutions, and they are connected. We need a cloud solution to land our workloads into. A CAF landing zone is where we can bring our Well-Architected Framework thinking-based workloads into. This graphic is something I use to bring them together a bit and help you with what is good to focus on. I've divided it into Cloud Adoption Framework, Well-Architected Framework, and also parts on security and governance. Cloud Adoption Framework is the bigger picture, the entire state, and connections to the business and other roles. The Well-Architected Framework has more focus on a workload, directly making sure we can run it securely and cost efficiently. If you use the online training content for the Cybersecurity Architect certifications, you will find these kinds of comparisons. Look for them. They are great for asking you a challenging question and make you decide on something. In this example, it's the WAF and the CAF that we will use for guidance or elements from both. Let's wrap up this video for now. So in summary, in this video we discussed the Well-Architected Framework and security aspects of it. We talked about focusing on code and where code is developed and stored. We need to secure that, and we need to look at how you can get started by assessing an existing situation using checklists and assessments. These are some short links where you can go and educate yourself further. So go do, and really go do and do an assessment. You will benefit from it. Now, thank you for watching this video. I hope to meet you in the series of the Cybersecurity Architect videos I recorded for you. Until the time, please stay safe.